I do believe, I am in the reality-based community, that solutions emerge from your judicious study of discernible reality. I nodded, the New York Times reporter said, and murmured something about Enlightenment principles and things being empirical. He cut me off. He cut me off. That's not the way the world really works anymore, said Karl Rove. He continued, we're an empire now. And when we act, we create our own reality. See, this is what happens to people that have total power and can get away with anything they want. DynCorp and Halliburton can publicly run giant child kidnapping rings. It can come out in Houston Chronicle, Chicago Tribune. Nobody gets in trouble. I go tell Austin cops, I'm walking out of P.F. Chang's a few years ago. DynCorp's across the street. They're laughing at me. Oh, look, it's Alex Jones. One of them's a commander. And I walk over to the big cop and the other little cops, big giant cop, and I said, you know, officer, that DynCorp facility, that's one of their head offices. They're in mainstream news running kidnapping rings. And he smiled at me and he said, I know, Alex, I work for them. And they all started just laughing. Whether he worked for them or not, the point is, it was all funny. See, you're not in the reality-based community. You know this spirit of gibbering, demonic, servile, giving yourself over to delusions, just like Nero did. Nero burned Rome because he wanted to expand his palace, then blamed it on the Christians. Nero got so crazy he believed he was a god and that he couldn't die if he committed suicide. And of course, he died. See, for the most powerful, they go crazy, and then death and destruction. They reported that Hitler would sit for hours on the Polish front looking through a telescope, watching bombs and burning like it was the greatest show on earth, and Stuka bombers, dive bombing. Burning cities, dead children, fire, they love it. And see, they just giggle. They giggle and enjoy it. I nodded and murmured something about Enlightenment principles. He cut me off. That's not the way the world really works anymore, Karl Rove continued. We're an empire now. And when we act, we create our own reality. And while you're studying that reality judiciously, you actually study reality. I don't care. You're judicious. Look at you. You can think for yourself. It doesn't matter if you think for yourself. Resistance is futile, which it really isn't. This is a con artist gibbering game. He's a little gross, sniveling, unconservative demon. And while you're studying that reality judiciously, and you will, listen to him, we'll act again, creating our own other new realities. Again, and while you're studying that reality judiciously, as you will, we'll act again, creating other new realities, which you can study too. See, he's saying it doesn't matter what you do. And that's how things will sort out. We're history's actors, and you, all of you, will be left to just study what we do. And he goes on with the other reporters completely shocked by the statement. But see, the smart ones like a Joe Hagan, we're going to come back and go to Aaron after the break. The smart ones like a New York magazine writer, the smart ones like a Media Matters Rolling Stone writer, they know how, when they come to my office and I go, here's all the globalist documents, here's their books, do you want these? No, thank you. Do you want me to show you the Rockefeller documents where they put the sterilants in the vaccines? Would you like to see a bunch of quotes on video of them calling for world government and a one-child policy? No, thank you. Why? Because you're just reporting on me, the phenomenon. Well, let's not talk about Alex Jones. Let's talk about what I stand for. But instead they just give little crazy-sounding bullet points, hoping people don't look deeper. You know, I'm saying this is a big, deep reservoir of corruption and death and destruction. And history shows it, and here's the globalists admitting it. Please look. Please, for your own family's future. I'm getting chills right now. And the yuppies and all of them flowing from this spiritual blindness, whatever you want to call it, they just giggle and smirk and say, the people of Fukushima should be happy. This is going to be good for them. George Monbiot, I might have been on the fence before. Now I believe in nuclear power. People are like, that doesn't make sense. I control reality. I've got the backing of the power structure. I'm George Monbiot. I go to globalist Bilderberg meetings. I openly write for world government. But then I write articles saying you're crazy if you believe in world government. Just like David Rockefeller did in his memoirs that we read last hour. He said, yeah, we're setting up world government, but there's these crazy populists who believe we're setting up a world government, and they're nuts. But we are. Now let me talk about the Bilderberg group, he goes on. I mean, years after this memoir was written, I would still have the New York Times and others say Jones is insane. He believes a thing called the Bilderberg Group exists. And I call the reporter and I go, don't you want their own minutes that have been leaked? Don't you want to have the right? And they're like, no, I don't. Alex, I got to go. By the way, you're going to lose. Bam, slam the phone down. I get one of the head of the Naval War College people on who openly calls and says our military works for foreign banks and world government. And I set him up for an interview, but then he figured out who I was. He thought he was coming on Alex S. Jones' radio show. And I called him up when they couldn't get him on the line. My producers couldn't. And he said, I'm not coming on your show during the 3-minute break. He said, no, I will not gratify you. And I said, but you're calling for world government. He goes, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. And I said, no, you're going to lose. And he went, never, never, and hung up. He didn't say I was a liar. Well, Thomas Barnett, he just said, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. We control reality now.
Do you want to learn more about preparing for the hard times ahead? Have you ever thought about actually getting off the grid and becoming truly self-reliant? Introducing Off the Grid News, a weekly newsletter for independent Americans who want practical advice on how to survive and even prosper in an increasingly dangerous world. It's the best way to get a black belt in emergency preparedness, survival skills, and off-the-grid living. Packed with hard-hitting information on gardening, food preparation, alternative energy, and home security, there's simply nothing like it. And the best part, this $100 annual subscription is now free of charge. Simply sign up today and you'll also get our hard-hitting report, Food Shock, Why 2011 Could Be the Single Most Important Year in American History to Plant a Family Garden. It's absolutely free for listeners who sign up at offthegridnews.net. That's offthegridnews.net. Get your free Food Shock right now at offthegridnews.net.
They helped to create a new world order.
We are part of a new world order.
A new world order based upon collective action.
Invisible Empire is a damning indictment of the globalists through their own words and documents.
The new world order really is a tool for addressing a new world of possibilities.
It means all the world under their control.
The United Nations would take over America. The Trilateral Commission would control the world.
Invisible Empire chronicles how men of power and influence have worked in stealth for centuries to establish an oppressive world government.
I believe, first of all, that we now need nothing short of a world constitution for the global financial system.
Global governance with the establishment of the G20.
So it's going to be an inner ruling elite and then everyone else. And I got news for you. You're everyone else.
Invisible Empire. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com, or watch it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Going solar for cheap is as easy as 1, 2, 3. If you want to go solar but thought the setup costs were too high, now you can build your own solar panels for less than $200. Don't laugh. We've sold over 45,000 solar do-it-yourself kits. Watch our introduction video at 123cheapsolarvideo.com. The video is free, but it won't last long. Save money on electric bills and get off the grid. Go to 123cheapsolarvideo.com right now. Our website again is 123cheapsolarvideo.com.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
Are you still a traditional smoker? Now experience a new lifestyle and try vaping with e-cigarettes by LeSig. Imagine no ashes, stains, nasty smell, or coughing and hacking. With LeSig e-cigarettes' revolutionary microelectronic technology, rechargeable battery, and unique replaceable cartridge, you'll get all the benefits and satisfaction of smoking without the hazards. Choose your taste from a wide variety of our new American-made vape-free e-liquids at LeSig.com. And LeSig smokes the competition by serving thousands of worldwide customers with real people customer service, fast, free, same-day shipping, and a 30-day warranty and satisfaction guarantee. So are you ready for a new vaping lifestyle? Then call 870-518-4307. That's 870-518-4307. Or visit LeSig.com, spelled LECIG.com. LeSig e-cigarettes for today's modern smoker.
So what the globalists do is they put a lie out to the reporters, to corporate leaders, and they say, look, suspend all moral judgments, suspend critical thinking, cover anything we want, lie, just be our servant, and we might give you some chicken feed. And anyone that comes forward with an argument, a moral argument, or someone who stands up and says, I want to be free, I don't want to go under your tyrannical system, they then just laugh at you and say, you don't have a stake in reality, we control reality, we're God. And that's what this power trip stems from. And going back into David Rockefeller's memoirs, published 2002, we already last hour read the quote where he admitted, yes, he wants global government, that, yes, the populists, are a bunch of conspiracy theorists, but basically they're right, but he's going to defeat them. Aaron, go over some of that.
Yeah, that whole book is very tongue-in-cheek because he opens with kind of mocking the little people who are against the world government, the so-called populists and so forth. But then he breaks down his little personal accounts of the Council on Foreign Relations, of the Bilderberg Group, and of some of the other groups.
But wait, they say that doesn't exist, but he's allowed to talk about it because he's for it. He controls reality. Sometimes it exists, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's totally...
This is their philosophy, folks.
And notice here how he mocks people but still admits Bilderberg exists. If the Council on Foreign Relations raises the hackles of conspiracy theorists, the Bilderberg meetings must induce apocalyptic visions of omnipotent international bankers plotting with unscrupulous government officials to impose cunning schemes on an ignorant and unsuspecting world. See how tongue-in-cheek that is.
He's telling you what he's doing.
Yeah, but
we've got internal quotes that have been confirmed where he says things like that. It would have been impossible to do this if the media hadn't worked with us. We want to thank the Washington Times, the Washington Post, the New York Times. He didn't say Washington Times. Go ahead.
He's playing upon our ignorance, and I'm sure he's familiar with all the denial about these kind of groups going on. But deeper into this chapter, there's this perception that Bilderberg are kind of untouchable people. They're such lofty bankers and militarists and so forth that they can't be touched. But then he explains how in 1976 the group had to shut down for a year, how its founder, Prince Bernhard, nearly had to step down from the council and, almost was in criminal trouble. I don't know if that all would have happened if he would have actually gone to prison. But reading from David Rockefeller, in 1976, Bilderberg faced a scandal that almost resulted in its collapse. That's David Rockefeller admitting it. Early that year in testimony before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, it was alleged that Prince Bernhard had approached the Lockheed Corporation with an offer to use his official position to influence Dutch defense procurement policies in exchange for significant financial consideration. As the year wore on, evidence against Bernhard accumulated, including indications that he had met with intermediaries during Bilderberg events. They always claim they don't set any policy there, that they don't even discuss policy. And here they are admitting that Prince Bernhard was carrying on part of this Lockheed Martin scheme.
Yeah, Obama and Hillary in 2008 show up at the secret meeting. We're there, telling the media they're there. The media's all looking for him, but says, we're not going to go look there. And they decide that Hillary's going to step down at that meeting.
Yeah, and we know from all the things Tucker brings out that later become true that there's definitely very important stuff going on at the meeting. But Rockefeller goes on to explain how in 76 the conference was canceled and it appeared for a time Bilderberg was finished. Now, of course, they would have continued under some other name, but the point is they aren't beyond the reach of accountability, of public scrutiny, and all these populists who've been criticizing them, that does bear pressure on them. And, of course, Prince Bernhard was not only a Nazi SS officer, he also worked with the London RAF during World War II, so he was playing both sides while he was sitting on the IG Farben council or board or what have you. He was also one of the founders of the World Wildlife Fund, along with the eugenicist Prince Philip and the eugenicist Julian Huxley.
And was caught smuggling elephant tusk out. They run the wildlife op so they can get the goods themselves.
And it plays into Agenda 21, of course, as well. So that's just...
And they use those wildlife preserves, this has now been declassified, as military bases to set up rebels to overthrow countries.
Yeah. It just shows you just a small indicator of how deep Prince Bernhard's influence goes. But yet he was not beyond the reach of these.
And his daughter today, the Queen of the Netherlands, is the unofficial head above the puppet head of Bilderberg.
Yeah, and of course he was the founder along with Joseph Redinger, who more or less kind of entrusted him with the idea to form the group.
Yeah, Viscount Etienne d'Avignon is the current